Hello you lovely lot and welcome to my channel. I'm Katie and it is that time again. It is time to unbox and create with the March scrawlrbox. If you enjoy videos like these, be sure to make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on any others. And I do have quite a big back catalogue as well, so if you're new here, please feel free to enjoy those too. Anyway, scrawlrbox. So this month's featured artist is Imri. I love that. I think that's a really cool print. I kind of like the difference that it has compared to recent ones we've had. I like the format and I like the design. We of course have the Scrawler Zine, which has hints and tips on how to use the materials, as well as a section on the featured artist and those lovely winners who get to make it in there too. This month's candy is a Highland toffee bar, and I'm just going to say how happy I was to have one of those. Very nostalgic for me. They were like a second currency at my primary school. But that aside, let's talk about what's in the box. So the surface we have is a smooth white card pad. It's 250 GSM and it promises to take markers, erasers, lots of reworking very well. We have a Koh-i-Noor 1900 pencil in 3B, and that pretty much does what I expect a 3B pencil to do. We have a Lyra Polycolour pencil in dark violet, quite a soft coloured pencil but nicely pigmented. We have a Copic multiliner in black, and that's a 0.3 size, and that's a decent size I think. And of course, the main event is the Marabou markers. It's a 6-pack and it is the Alpha Robot set. Lots of grey tones there, cool tones as well as warmer tones. Upon swatching, there were no surprises there. Everything worked out really nicely. The alcohol markers, I guess, behaved like alcohol markers. The pencil I thought was perhaps a little bit soft for such a smooth surface. However, it still gave a good payoff of pigment. And the Copic multiliner, very nice to work with, and I was very happy with that. All in all, I think that's quite a good haul we've got there. But anyway, let's talk about the prompt, which is Bionic Being. So, for all of you who are regulars, we'll say, you'll know I don't draw very many mechanical, man-made, science fiction-y type things. I'm more of your nature and fantasy kind of themes here. So I thought I would try and actually do something that looked robotic. I was part tempted to do something more on the fantasy level, but then I'd be steering away from the prompt, and I thought, no, I'm going to try it. I've got to do it. The colours that are involved in the markers are just screaming to be turned into a robot drawing, we'll say. I'd part sketched this off camera just because I wanted to get a bit of a grasp of what I wanted to do, but I do also add additional bits as we go along. I got the fundamental part down, which is a robotic figure, and I wanted to make sure that the hands look very, I guess, robotic. For my references for the hands, I've got a couple of those wooden hands you get. You know how you can get the wooden mannequins? Well, you can get wooden hands too, and they just seemed perfect. I've never thought they were great for drawing real life hands from. They're good at a pinch, but I guess all the joints on there are a little too apparent. But for this, they were a great reference there. All those joints on the knuckles were perfect, and I definitely spoke about this for too long, but you know what I mean. I wanted to have a bit of a juxtaposition here though, so we have this robotic figure, but I wanted it to be surrounded in these butterflies, and that's where I wanted to introduce that gorgeous purple colour in. But we'll get to that shortly. First of all, I wanted to make sure that I got most of the base colours down, just for the lighter areas. I mainly kept to using the cooler tones for this. It just seemed more appropriate. I wanted this robot to sort of have a cold appearance to it, but to be warmed by the butterflies. So I guess there's a little bit of a narrative there. I also thought as well it would be quite cool to have lots of wires running into the back of this robotic figure as well, just to add something, I guess, bionic in the background too. It's kind of weird. I don't often draw things like this, like I've mentioned. It was quite hard not to add an expression to this robot's face. I wanted it to be as, well, I guess as cold as possible, but to be holding on to these very delicate living beings that are these butterflies flying around. Now, for me personally, I mean, I'm not an expert with coloured pencils. That's also on my list of things to improve, as well as the oil pastels, and I will be releasing a video with another attempt of those soon, so please keep an eye out for that. But back to the point, I didn't think that the paper and this coloured pencil were a great combination. Like I mentioned earlier, the lead in that is really soft, and to get some real pigment on the page I really had to apply some pressure, but then there was always the danger of crushing the lead, so I didn't quite get that as purple as I wanted or as smooth as I wanted. However, I did use one of the lighter warm grey tones to move those coloured pencils around a little bit on the page, and I based that on the principle of the Derwent alcohol based pencil blender. I figured it's going to break down the pigments and the base materials just the same, just going to add a hint of colour in there, or a hint of tint with the case of greys there, and I actually quite like how it evened everything out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't mind a contrast of textures here, however I wanted this to all be quite the same, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. After I'd got the majority of the base areas down, it was time to apply just a few tonal details here and there. So along the seams of the robot's face and where the joints are, I either used a deeper colour of the grey, or I went over it again in the original colour, because layering marker pens works very nicely for just adding tonal areas. My thoughts on the marker pens, I actually quite enjoyed them. I know we get quite a lot of alcohol markers periodically throughout the year. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago since we last had some. I think it might have been either October or November. But I appreciate there being a set of similar tones here. I feel the lack of colour, I guess, makes them all the more versatile for other projects beyond this prompt. In a way, I think these would probably be really good to do some manga-based drawings with. And who knows, I might do a video where I'm just working in a manga style, because I haven't done that for a long time, and I don't know if you guys would be interested in that or not, but let me know down below if you are. I thought the paper was a good addition. I'm actually glad that it was card and not marker paper. If you don't know, I'm not a huge fan of marker paper. I find it too thin to work on. I know it's going to be thin because people will trace through their design onto that without having to erase anything, but I just hate working with regular marker paper. I don't know, it's just too thin. It's like if there's a slight scratch on my desk beneath it, it irks me when it comes through on the page, and it's just not a hit with me. So this cardboard was a really nice alternative to it, and I would actually like to see that more often rather than marker paper. Obviously I know marker paper has its place though. However, it did bleed through, which is, I guess, the downside of it not being marker paper, but hey, just make sure your desk's covered, you'll be fine. Just put a bit of scrap paper or a couple of sheets, it's not a problem. So I decided to add a little bit of the purple in the background there, just to, again, add a bit more depth, and add a few other outlines here and there just to make certain areas pop more than others. I really enjoyed this month's box. It was a nice, quick, easy project for me as well, and at the moment I am a little bit pressed for time, so it was good to just have something where I can go boom, and it's done. I just want to say thank you so much for watching. There should be a couple more videos on screen that I think you're going to enjoy. Let me know what you think of what I created with this box down below, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye!